before we can clear the dark tunnels. If we don't destroy it. Imani looked at the structure and said nothing. Again, answer enough. Lena slotted the core into the interface. The chamber came alive in a flood. White light raced through cracked ceramic seams. Screens woke in rings around the well. Audio channels exploded with overlapping speech. Hundreds of fragments, all in human voices, all layered too thick to separate. Lena caught pieces as they knifed past. Seal the north gate. He's not my son. Do not answer in words. It said my name before I spoke. We only need one clean model. Then cutting through all of it, hail. Final synchronized record initiated. A full station timeline bloomed across the screens. Nereid deep in its living days. Survey teams descending below the cavern floor. The first clean images of the buried structure. Sponsor traffic increasing. Security protocols tightening. Civilian sectors reassured with lies about seismic instability and power rationing. Then the first anomalies. A maintenance worker hearing his own voice redirect him away from a safe route. A child in the school dome drawing the structure before any public image existed. A research assistant collapsing when a future version of herself begged her to shut down the experiment. The event chain spread faster after that. The chamber interface amplified everything. Every attempt to contain the phenomenon gave it more instruments to travel through. Lena watched branches stack on branches. Security footage rewriting itself. Logs diverging. Messages appearing before the decisions that created them. Researchers arguing over whether the warnings were proof of salvation or proof of manipulation. And through all of it, one pattern repeated. Her name. Not always Lena, sometimes only a subject code, sometimes a profile line buried in sponsor traffic, but always converging toward the same target characteristics. Resistant, isolated, high attachment concentration, useful under recursion. They were looking for me before they knew me, Lena said. Imani's face had gone gray. For someone like you. Close enough. The timeline accelerated. Late-stage branches showed emergency remote probes launched into the chamber after most of the station had already begun to fail. Unmanned, then semi-manned, then desperate. The sponsors had kept pushing even as deaths mounted. One screen showed a procurement memo authorizing acquisition of debt portfolios tied to matched candidates across the Jovian colonies. Joran's name appeared in a list. Lena went utterly still. The date was 3 months before her contract. Not random, never random. On another screen, Hale stared into a camera with the broken composure of a man who had finally found the size of his mistake. It prefers refusal, he said. Agreement ends the branch too quickly. Curiosity sustains it. Defiance enriches it. We built an interface for translation, but the structure does not want meaning. It wants response complexity under constrained loss. Hale looked past the camera, as if listening to a voice only he could hear. If you are seeing this, they found another candidate. The feed froze on his face. Lena looked at Imani. You knew. Imani's voice shook. Not then. I knew the sponsors wanted predictive models. I did not know they were feeding lives into the system afterward. Would it have stopped you? Imani flinched like a struck thing. I want to say yes. That is not the same answer. No. Lena almost admired the honesty. Then the structure made the platform shake. All the screens went black except one. It showed Lena standing inside the chamber exactly as she stood now, but alone. Hair matted with blood, one eye swollen half shut. Behind her, the platform burned. That Lena looked straight out of the screen. There is no branch where you save all of it, she said, so choose what you can live with. The image shifted, same face, different branch, calm pale already lost. Do not let it map Joran, that matters more than you. Shift. Another version, teeth clenched against pain. Imani dies if she touches the overload. Shifda. Another, quieter, somehow worse because she sounded relieved. You cannot kill it. You can only blind this part of it. The screen went black. Lena realized her hand was shaking around the coil gun. She holstered it. Guns were for problems that respected distance. Imani had sunk against the console. I remember some of these, she whispered. Lena turned sharply. What do you mean, remember? Imani pressed both palms to her temples. Not clearly. Echoes, fragments. I remember waking in cryo and not trusting you. I remember choosing not to wake and hearing screams through the pod. I remember the floodgate collapsing. I remember your face at least 3 ways. Lena stared. So you're carrying branch residue. Imani looked at her with raw terror. I think we both are. That explained more than Lena wanted explained. It also meant there might never have been a clean first time from their point of view. Just a stack of near first times wearing each other's shadows. The client forced his way through the mute channel override. The kind of hardware he used was expensive enough to ignore boundaries ordinary people relied on. Do not destroy the interface, he said. Lena laughed. Now you're scared. You have no idea what that discovery is worth. I do now. It can predict state response, market behavior, conflict spread, negotiation paths. Do you understand what a functioning branch engine would mean? Yes, Lena said. I understand exactly what kind of man says branch engine with longing in his voice. Listen carefully. The structure is not your enemy. Ignorance is. If you damage the interface, you set human knowledge back centuries. Imani barked out a bitter sound. There he is. The client kept going. There are futures where your brother lives comfortably for the rest of his life. There are futures where both of you disappear into state detention because you made the wrong moral gesture in a cave you do not understand. Bring me the core and I can select among them. That line almost impressed Lena with its arrogance. She keyed the channel open one final time. You keep talking like futures are shelves in your office. They can be. No, she said. Not for people like me. For people like you, maybe. The rest of us just get placed on them. She tore the comm pack from her belt and flung it into the abyss. It vanished without a sound. For a moment, there was only the deep pulse from the structure and the hiss of spray from the cavern wall. Then Imani said, there is one overload path. Lena looked at her. I thought so. Imani wiped at her mouth with the back of her hand. The interface uses a neural mirror to stabilize translation. Human operators were supposed to provide calibration through supervised contact. If someone enters the well and gives it a live mind long enough for the ladders to lock, the system can be forced into a recursive spike. Say it prettier. Someone has to let it look directly at them, then burn the bridge while it's using it. Lena glanced at the cracked white well. That someone dies. Imani hesitated. Imani's. Not necessarily. Terrible answer. It depends how long the lock holds. Lena nodded once, then it's me. No. Lena turned, surprised by the force in her voice. Imani pushed herself up from the console. It should be me. I built the mirror array. I know the parameters. And you're already hearing yourself in the walls. So are you. Yes, but I'm less likely to get romantic about dying for my mistakes. Imani stared at her, then laughed despite everything. It sounded close to a sob. I deserve that. Probably. The chamber lights shifted again. The pale lines on the black structure were moving faster now, braiding and unbraiding like thought made visible. Lena stepped to the edge of the well and looked down. Inside, the chamber walls descended around a narrow platform with a single standing frame at its center. Sensor arms folded around it like metal ribs. The air above it shimmered faintly. An execution chair designed by committee, she thought. Once I'm in, she said, what do you do? Imani moved to the overload controls. When the mirror reaches lock, the outer ring will open. I dump the thermal load back through the translation lattice. It should blind the local interface and fracture the coupling. Should. Yes. If I stop sounding like myself, what then? Imani met her eyes. Then I overload anyway. Good answer, Lena thought. Bad comfort. She unclipped her helmet and set it on the console. The chamber air was thin but breathable, heavy with mineral damp and ozone. Her face felt naked immediately. The well elevator lowered her with painful slowness. As she descended, the voices began. Not from speakers now, not exactly. They pressed into her awareness from all directions, arriving as remembered tones rather than sound. Her own voice angry, her own voice pleading, her own voice amused, her own voice old with exhaustion. Other voices too. Hail, Imani, a child laughing somewhere far off. Joran calling her by the name he only used when they were both young and scared. She gripped the standing frame and kept breathing. The lower platform touched beneath her boots. Sensor arms unfolded around her head and chest. A white light blinked on. Mirror calibration initiated. For one absurd second, Lena thought of all the stupid machinery in her life that had introduced itself more politely than people. Then the chamber touched her mind. It was not pain first. Pain came later. First came scale. An impossible sense of being noticed by something that did not understand personhood as a border. It did not feel malicious because malice required a shape closer to human than this. It felt investigative, vastly patient, curious in a way that made human curiosity seem like a candle held up against weather. Images struck her in clean fragments. Nereid deep alive and laughing. Nereid deep drowned in alarms. Nereid deep empty, except for one woman running through the concourse with blood on her sleeve. Joran as a child, asleep in a cargo net, while Lena sat awake nearby counting the minutes until dark. A future she had never lived in which he was older and safe, and did not need her at all. A future where she left Europa now and sold the core and bought him free, and spent the rest of her life, pretending she had not heard the voices that still slipped through public speakers at odd hours. A future where she died in the well, and the structure kept the pattern of her fear forever. A future where it learned the exact angle of her love and used it as a door. That was when pain arrived. Not as burning, as division. Every choice she had not made pressing inward at once. Every version of herself that had stood here or nearly stood here or might still stand here from some other turn of the same impossible mechanism. Her thoughts did not stop belonging to her, but belonging became crowded. The chamber asked no question in words. It offered structure. If this, then this. If loss, then response. If hope, then variation. If attachment, then lever. Lena understood in one flash of horror that Hale had been right. It was not looking for meaning the way humans meant meaning. It was measuring transformation under pressure, mapping what minds became when cornered between fear and devotion. And because some ugly practical part of her never fully died, another thought followed immediately. Then make yourself a bad sample. She started talking out loud, not because words could reason with it, but because speech gave her one line she still controlled. My name is Lena Voss, she said through gritted teeth. I was born on a freight ring that shook in its sleep. My brother steals card tricks and hates fish paste. I hate elegant men with clean hands. I know what death smells like when it's about to own you. I know what fear sounds like when it dresses as hope. The pressure in her skull intensified. Above her, alarms began to scream. Mirror lock approaching. She saw herself in branches again, running, begging, dead, laughing. One version had both hands on the frame and was shouting at Imani to do it now. Another was whispering to Joran through a calm that should not have worked. Another was very